May 2024, it's spring and it's an absolute beautiful day here in Staffordshire. 2024. And this machine, the RD350, came from an era when things were completely different. Completely different. These were the times when we used to get pamphlets through the letterbox at our houses, telling us what to do in the event of a nuclear attack. Remember how they used to say, hide behind your upturned sofa? Now I know the quality of sofas in the 80s was probably better than that you get from IKEA today, but they weren't that great at nuclear blasts. Things were much different. We didn't have the internet in the 80s. We didn't have the internet in the 80s. They were the times when girls or women wanted to go on the back of bikes, but they don't now. They really don't. They really don't. You can think that the young people of today don't want to take up motorcycling. And maybe it's the demise of the two-stroke that helped towards that. Because when you ride this, it's not particularly powerful compared to the bikes of today. It really feels like it's got a soul. It doesn't have a soul, but it gives you a hell of a buzz when you're riding it and you get into that power band. Things were so much different in the 80s. And this was Yamaha's last bastion attempt to kick out something that was a two-stroke. I think the previous one, which went into the 90s, was the RGV250. And in 1990, made in Brazil, and that was the start of pushing out manufacturing to other countries. This was made in Brazil, as per Yamaha specifications, I may hasten to add. And I know that the paintwork on the ones from Brazil wasn't as good as the ones from Yamaha, but it wasn't that much worse. You know, this was the last stretch of the two-stroke era. This was built from 1990 to 1992. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's either 1990 to 1992 or 1990 to 1995. And this was the last kick of the two-stroke era. Things have changed. We need cleaner air. We don't want two-stroke motorcycles kicking smoke out all the time. And I understand that. But this is a beautiful machine. From an engine and exhaust perspective, she's as she was when she was from the factory. And she's got 12,000 miles on her. This one's been stuck in a cold room, in a cold, dark room, not to see much daylight, and does need a clean. She does need a clean. But she runs as sweet as a nut. As sweet as a nut. This was the era that the Iron Curtain came down between the Russian states and Western Europe. This was an era of Reagan and Thatcher. Things were completely different. Things were completely different. Now, whilst the engine and the exhausts and the air intake are completely standard on this machine, the front suspension has been upgraded, as has the rear suspension. And this makes it handle absolutely beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. It's not the spaghetti frame that we used to have in the 1980s anymore. It really does handle well. And to make sure it's braking correctly, the calipers have been changed. On the front, the bike's fine. On the front, from the Triumph 955i, which makes the braking on the front absolutely superb. So from a handling perspective, she's absolutely wonderful. It's an era gone by. It really is an era gone by, and this one needs a really good clean. Unusually, she's still got the rear mudguard. It's not been cut down at all, but it does need a good clean. These were the days when you could go up to a girl and say, "What's your name?" All that kind of thing. Now you swipe left and right. How bizarre the world has changed. But it has changed. For the better or worse, it has changed, and we have to live with that. We have to live with that. Let's have a listen to her. Come on. Everybody's got a devil inside of them, and so have I. And my little devil's focused on two-stroke engines. I have to control that devil when I'm riding her, or I'll go absolutely crazy and end up in a ditch, like most of these bikes did end up in a ditch. Apparently, when it came to the RD350 and RD350, all of them were stolen, from a statistics perspective, at least twice. This one's never been stolen. An absolute bizarre time in the 1990s, where you actually thought you were a racer on the road. And it gave you that thrill. It did give you that thrill. All the 4-strokes, all the 650s, they couldn't keep up with this little thing, the RD350. They just couldn't keep up. And it was relatively cheap. They were fantastic times. This is, you know, the next thing for this is, do we put all speeds or microns on it? And let's see what we can get out of it from a horsepower perspective. Upgrade the jets. Get her running just perfect. And see where we go. Anyway, should we go for a ride? There's the introduction. Should we go for a ride? Let's go for a ride. Let's see what she's like. Okie dokie. Let's take this little girl for a ride. Oh my goodness. There we are. Ignition's on in neutral. There we go. There we go. Whoops. Okie dokie. Right. Let's go back to the 1980s. Yeah, the clutch is a bit spongy. They always were. Oh yes. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Right. Let's go for a quick spin. So here we are on the RD350 R, built from 1990. Let's make sure the fuel's on, and it is not. There we are, it's on now. Just give her a few seconds to warm up. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Sounds like a dream. This road is terrible. The roads over the UK are all terrible now. Oh yeah. So this one's got the standard exhaust that came from the original time. Still got the oh god, what would you call it? The washer within the exhaust to stop the flow. I was thinking about taking that washer out, but I do want to keep its originality. So instead of getting the washer out of the original exhausts, I think what we'll do is we'll get a set of all speeds or microns. So as I remember, all speeds give it better power all the way through the rev range, whereas microns always used to focus on the power at the top end. So I don't know yet. I had a look at the Swarbrick website. They've got some nice pipes. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Right, let's knock her down a couple of gears. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she is beautiful. She is beautiful. She is beautiful. Let's go down here. It's a beautiful, quiet morning. There we go. There we go. There we go. So these were the times when motorcycling was relatively cheaper to perform with the two-stroke engines. The two-stroke engines were much cheaper to manufacture, whereas the four-strokes of today are more complicated, and that's why motorcycles are much more expensive today than they ever have been, relatively speaking. Relatively speaking. These were the days. Let's take her easy now. She's kicking out plumes of blue smoke, so that shows that everything's working as it should be. Which is good news. So she handles absolutely beautiful through the corners. None of that spaghetti framework that we used to have in the 80s with this uprated suspension. She really is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. I think she's doing about 30 miles per gallon, maybe a bit less, so she's not particularly economical. All the way down through the gears, straight into the corner, and we're out of the corner. There we go. It's just like being on a race circuit. Just like being on a race circuit. Oh my goodness. It does bring dark times. Oh my goodness. They were the days. How things have changed. My God, when these were around, we were under nuclear threat. We weren't sure if World War III was going to start. My goodness. That's some 40 years ago. 40 years ago. 40 years ago, and we used to worry about whether we'd survive a nuclear holocaust. My goodness. Ronald Reagan, the actor, President of America, Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of Great Britain, or the United Kingdom. My goodness. The young today don't know what they miss. It's absolutely wonderful to ride something like this. Absolutely wonderful. And if you've never ridden a two-stroke, I suggest you go out and have a try. It really does take you back to a different era. Absolutely wonderful. And it's a beautiful dry day. The roads are absolutely perfect for these super skinny tyres, these Bridgestones. It's early Sunday morning, so there's no traffic around, which is great. It's something like 8:30 in the morning. I thought I'd bring her out while there's no traffic. And the YPVS system really does allow the torque at the bottom of the rev range to happen. I used to have a Suzuki X7 with microns, K&N filters, all that good stuff, and it had absolutely no power below, I don't know, 7,000 RPM. No power. So look at this, we're now what? 3,000 RPM, and just wind her on. The YPVS adjusts the exhaust port height, which then allows the two-stroke engine, the twin in this RD350, to produce a bit more torquey power. So we're in 6th gear now. I think we're in 6th gear. Yep. Yeah, we're in 6th gear, and I'm at 3,000 RPM. So the YPVS will be closed now, making the timing of the two-stroke slightly different to when she's in a power band, and gives her the torque that one would expect as a daily rider. Look, she's just pulling along. I don't need to have her up at 7,000 or 8,000 RPM to get her moving. Look, I'm at 2000 RPM. Oh. I'm now in second gear. Oh, this is crazy. What's happening here? So I've got 2000 RPM, second gear, and it just pulls away. It's the YPVS that's doing that. The YPVS doesn't actually give the engine more power. What it does is it gives the engine more power at lower revs. Yes? Because as you know, as you're in the power band, the YPVS valve is fully open. Yeah? So it can't produce any more power with the valve being more open. So what the YPVS is doing is it's actually giving the ability to have more torque at the bottom end. Look at this, 4000 RPM. What gear am I in? I must be in 5th or 6th. And I'm just opening her up, and she's nicely pulling away. Yep, she's nicely pulling away up this hill. This hill is steeper than what you think. So it actually gives the engine more pulling power, more torque at lower RPM, so it's more usable on the street. Ah, wonderful. She does need a good clean, and we're going to hopefully sort that out, as long as nothing stupid happens financially. So yeah, I'm in 6th now. I'm going up this hill, 3,500 RPM, and it's fine. It's climbing slowly, but it's absolutely fine. It's not struggling, and I'm not on full throttle either. The gearbox is super slick. The clutch is a bit funny, and I need to have a look at that. But the clutches were funny in these bikes of that era. It's only a very simple clutch. So what's happening here? So I'm still in 6th gear, 3,500 RPM. This road is getting steeper, but I'm going to have to slow down and put it in another gear. 5th, 6th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd gear. These were the days when you were out after work, meeting your mates up. Some of them had 4 strokes. I'm guessing most of them would have had 2 strokes. And you went out and had a good time. Went out and had a good time. Let's take a left here. Bum 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 bum. And of course, you know, this takes you back to that era. The only thing that's missing from that era, you know, I've got me, I've got the bike, I've got the petrol. She's running like a dream. The only thing missing is the 3, 4 or 5 mates that you will be riding with. They're all missing. They've moved on, got their Audi A6, maybe a Tesla, and maybe, you know, most of them have forgot about motorcycles, and they're just arguing with the wives all the time. I don't know. Wife doesn't want them to ride a motorbike, so they don't. They end up being pissed off at home. I understand that. I do understand it. There's a guy doing his gardening. There we are. He's having a look. He's wishing he were on this rather than trimming his grass. But I appreciate his grass needs trimming. Yeah. This is what happens. You end up getting a bit older. You have a house, you have a family. You have to be a bit more responsible. I understand that. But if you're a bit of a rider that just wants something every now and then, just to go out and have a bit of fun with cheap insurance, Yeah? That's cheap insurance. Let's wait for this car to go. Maybe you ought to go out and buy something like an RD350. Absolutely beautiful. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The back brake on this is absolutely wonderful. The front brakes are absolutely superb. They do make a bit of a chirp when you brake heavily. Listen to this. No, it's not doing it now. It does make a little bit of a chirping noise, but they work perfectly fine. Work perfectly fine. Let's see if we can get past this lot. Let's see if we can get past this tractor. Tractors are so wide today that you just can't see around them. You just can't see around them. Nah. There's a left-hand bend here. Let's wait. Yeah, this is the last bastion. Is there anybody there? Let's go for it. Here we go. Absolutely crazy. She sounds like a bucket of angry bees. A bucket of angry bees. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Oh dear. This really does bring back memories or dreams of the 1980s, when you could or could not afford one of these, but you desperately wanted one. So this was the last bastion of the two-stroke era. I know the RGV250 was being produced until the mid-90s, but this one, that started in the 80s, but this one started in 1990 after the TZR250 from Yamaha. Why they brought this out, no idea, no idea, but they did. Maybe it was just the last throw as a joke to the motorcycling industry fraternity that looks after regulations. Or maybe they just had lots and lots of stock that they needed to get rid of. It's probably the latter. So this one sat in a Carnell's showroom, probably right at the back, until 1997 when she was registered. 1997, that era where it was moving towards the four-strokes. You know, the racing four-stroke 400s. And they were fairly crap. There were no competition to the RD350 even in the 1990s. I suspect even now, if you put them side by side with one of the newer 400s, the RD350 would still give a 400 a hell of a run for its money. A hell of a run. So I'm just riding through the village of Croxton and, you know, just trundling at 3,500 RPM. No problems. That YPVS valve works beautifully. So you can ride the bike sedately. It's not a constant thrash. I'm not saying that it likes to be in this rev range. It doesn't. It wants to be a 6,000 and above it wants to be there, but you can ride it sedately. Absolutely beautiful. Excuse me. 40 mile an hour. And she's comfortable as well. She is comfortable. This seat's great. I'm not sure I'd want to go touring on her. The angle of the handlebars is good. The footrest's a great position. The pedals and the gear changer come naturally to the right position. The fairing offers a reasonable amount of protection. And as long as you can use a screwdriver and understand the basics of carburation and two-stroke engines, they're easy to look after. Whoops, was that down to first? It is. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Whoa! There we are. Don't want to have a fight with a massive tractor. Oh, it's like being on the TT. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. Slow down a bit. There we go. There's pheasants all over at the moment in the roads. Oh yeah, these were the days. These were the days. What else was happening in the 80s? Oh, it was ridiculous. Cuban Missile Crisis. That wasn't a great time. The government actually told the public to hide behind their settee in the event of a nuclear launch on the 4-minute warning. Could you imagine that? As if your sofa is going to protect you from a nuclear blast. How gullible were the public? How gullible were the public of that time? No wonder people don't trust governments anymore. No wonder. It's bizarre. They come out with these ideas. Hide behind your settee. Oh yeah. Let's pull up, have a quick look at her and say goodbye. Look at this. This is the village of Eckershaw in Staffordshire. And look at this beautiful day. Beautiful day. Absolutely beautiful. What's this guy doing? There we go. Let's pull up over here. There we go. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Be kind to everyone. And I'll see you very soon. I'm going to go for a coffee. See you soon. Bye bye. Just look at that little beauty. See you very soon. Bye bye. Be kind to people. Don't forget to be kind. See you soon. Bye bye.